Hey, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of
It'd Be Like That, I guess.
As you're staring down into your phone.
I am tweeting that we're recording. Sorry for trying to do podcast stuff.
Sorry for trying to publicize us. Jesus Christ.
My
what
bad.
The hell is wrong with you?
Let me go back on there. No one listen. Wait.
Fuck those guys.
No one listens anymore.
I don't think it's very nice of you to say fuck those guys from our own account.
Yeah, I know, feel me?
So, we're here. It's episode 200, the 200th episode spectacular.
Oh, yeah, I was supposed to, get something together for that, huh?
Yeah, I think we're just going to do that next time. We were talking about it.
I didn't do shit.
Neither did I, because this last couple of weeks have been terrible to start the year. But not in, terribly bad 2020 way, just work way. But we have a guest. You can see him if you're actually watching the video, but if you're listening to the podcast, you don't know that he's here. We have our fellow SIP Network brother, Andrew. Say hi.
How you doing, everybody?
So, how's it going?
I'm doing good. Not so bad. I mean, everybody's talking about how 2021 is no different than 2020. Kind of feels like nothing really has changed. But I'm doing good.
I feel like it's too early to really tell. I had some friends that were like, "Oh, it's going to be worse than last year," and I'm like, "Yeah, with that attitude, it's going to be worse."
Well, of course it is. It doesn't make any sense why all of a sudden you think that it's going to either going to be amazingly better, or two, it's just going to be it's going to be the worst thing ever. Like we're literally today 14 days into the new year, and it's worse than last year. Give me a fucking break.
Yeah.
Hey, well, you know what I forgot to say, man, but congrats on episode 200, man. That's a huge milestone.
Yeah, I can't believe we've been doing this shit with this guy for that long.
That's amazing. And I'm honored to be the guest on your 200th episode, man. That's great.
Yeah, well, we're going to break out the cocaine and the girls, but P and the B couldn't be here this week.
Okay.
So that is our alternate radio personas, I guess you could say.
Personas, yeah. Well, I think the more amazing thing is that this guy's actually put up with me for 200 episodes. Plus bonus stuff,
Yeah, plus bonus stuff, reviews, Paranormal Pativity, coming over onto the Terrible Terror podcast, listening to him on Back in Time, him talking with Dave over on, podcasts from another world, as well as Dave's Pop Culture podcast. What other ones can we plug? Quick.
Angry Dad.
Yeah, you've been over there in the Angry Dad. Have you been on Five Food from Fans yet?
No, me and him were trying to set something up, and that's around the time that my uncle passed, and then it's just been kind of, but
well, then you need to get over on Deadhead Radio too.
Yeah, we'll get you on there, man.
And then, also the fact that you live 3 doors down from me now.
I know.
I've been loving it this past year now.
Yeah, all the yelling and screaming I can handle.
Hey, well, it takes a lot of good chemistry for you guys to reach 200 episodes, and I see it in every episode that I've watched. You guys have this cool relationship. It's like you guys have known each other all your life or something.
Well, he is married to my cousin.
Okay.
But even that, I mean, it's like, we did click, honestly, real fast. And that's like I said, when I was doing a video game podcast, I brought Brian on for that. And we ended up talking more about just random stuff like we talk here, unlike video game stuff. And then next thing you know, we were just like, you know what? We should just do this ourselves.
Yeah, we can do it. I went and bought the equipment, and he came over and recorded the episodes.
That's cool. Who does the editing?
That's this guy over here.
That's the real work right there, man.
But there's not a whole lot of editing that gets done over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Slap some music in the beginning, slap some music in the middle, or the end.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that you can have the
Yeah.
Yeah, I just with us, I don't know. It's so much easier when you have somebody else, because if you fuck up or you do something weird, they can usually back you up. You know what I'm saying there, Pat?
Yep.
So
I know what you mean. I do know what you mean, because for me, it's so much easier having a guest that I can interview than trying to do the monologue deal. I tried the monologue, and that's rough.
And that's for both of us doing our own, separate ones where it's us solo. that's a hard time. And that one, like for me, it's all editing on the fly. If something doesn't sound right, I just stop, go back, edit, and do it where I need to.
Yeah.
So sometimes it sounds a little, weird, and I think I've gotten to the point where I know how to make myself sound the same, so I don't have to do anything special, except for I fuck up and not talk about Dolph Lundgren in the movies that he's actually been in.
Well,
I still haven't seen that episode, man. No spoilers.
I'll give you a little spoiler. Ribs.
Yes.
Oh, right. I've seen the tweets, man. I've seen the tweet war between you guys.
Which is funny
goddamn ribs.
Which is funny because I told him, I said that's it. It's settled. And in fact we were talking about when I was on my way home. We're on barbecued ribs this weekend. We're gonna watch some NFL football. But
yeah, it's gonna be all good.
I was gonna say it's like I don't even know how I do my own podcast. Honestly, like I can't talk. I know I can't talk. I probably do any kind of podcasting. That's why like Brian takes the reins and I'm just here for whatever. And then same thing with when Kyle and I do Chafing the Dream podcast. Like I told him straight out. I said, Kyle, you're gonna lead it. I'll just be here and I'll talk, but I can't talk to the lead a podcast. I can barely talk right now.
We got to talk about Chafing the Dream, man. That is a great podcast.
Thank you.
That one, I hear you guys and I hear the pain, I hear the struggles, but it's uplifting at the same time, You guys are doing a good thing with that podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's right.
We're recording tomorrow.
Oh, there you go.
Right on.
Do you have a guest for tomorrow?
No, actually, I got to talk and see what he got planned because we don't have anybody at the moment. I think it's just going to be a normal one of us talking because I think we've had a guest the last 2 or 3, so we haven't really done any like weigh-ins and stuff like that, which I really don't want to do because
because we're doing ribs this weekend.
Yeah. Well, I'll probably weigh myself tomorrow night. I started my diet over, but I'll do it like early after I take a nice crap.
Oh, okay.
You got to do it smart, man.
You gotta offload the boys at the pool for a little while.
How much could that really weigh, though, man? I mean, half a pound.
Hey,
I weighed myself one time, went to the bathroom, got back on. It was about 3 or 4 pounds.
Wow. Wow.
Did you get what they call the iceberg? It's tipping out at the top of the water.
I've had that before.
I didn't think it was going to be that kind of a podcast, man. What are you talking about?
We are that type of podcast. Just ask Ben.
Is that what it'd be like?
That's what it'd be like.
Or as Ben would say, God fucking damn.
That's right. This is great when we have the video medium. We can actually do the impressions that we were doing before, but people can actually see us now actually do it.
Yeah, the funniest videos that you guys do is when you guys are sitting next to each other on the couch. The things that you guys pull off on those face-to-face videos is just I bust a gut laughing watching you guys do some stuff.
Oh, man, if you haven't seen it yet, and I'd say people that are listening to this for the first time should go out and check out on our Facebook page. There's a video of when Ben came over and Ben and Pat did the jelly bean challenge. And just a little bit of a spoiler alert, but it makes it funny. Ben got every single bad jelly bean because we do those Bean Boozled where it was either good or bad. And if they got the question wrong, they had to get that. Every single one.
Oh, yeah.
Every single one. I thought that he was going to die at the end of that.
I think I had so if you get the question wrong, you had to just reach in and grab one. And it could be bad, it could be good. And I think I got one bad one, which was the toothpaste one. And that one's not even that bad. It's like I'll eat the toothpaste one. Yeah.
Oh, what are some of the bad ones?
Dead fish, spoiled milk, dog food,
spoiled eggs.
Yep.
Who comes up with these things, man?
It's all Jelly Belly, man. And it happened because they were trying to make a pizza flavored jelly bean, but the pizza flavored jelly bean tastes like vomit. Yeah. And they're like, wait, we could do something with this because they made a bunch.
Yeah,
and so they made Bean Boozled.
Because people like to torture themselves. I've seen some of those videos, some of them YouTube channels. Much. I saw this one guy eat cactus. Oh. He was sitting there eating cactus. I'm like, oh, no way.
I mean, if it's cooked properly, but no.
No, it wasn't cooked, man. It was out of the pot. He's taking the cactus right out of the pot and chewing it up with the corn, the needles and everything, thorns and all.
So he's picking his teeth as he eats. I mean,
Right.
I guess that's smart, right?
Yeah.
Thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can be square. But yeah,
square.
yeah, sometimes, only when you're listening to Huey Lewis in the news. That's the only time that's hip to be square. But yeah, I mean, I think the first time that I would say that Pat and I met was at my aunt and uncle's house when he was dating Crystal, and he was in the garage. And he was playing on his Xbox 360, and he was playing Madden. And they kind of like shuffled me in there. They're like, oh, Pat plays video games. You play video games. Go hang out. And then we ended up playing Madden. And then, like, I think within, I don't know, I want to say about maybe 15, 20 minutes, like, we started getting along pretty well. And then,
even though he's a Niner fan.
Well, that's the way it goes. It'd be like that. I was talking to my coworker today, and we were talking about football teams. And I'm like, I don't know how I got all these fucking Raider fans as friends. Like, most of the football fans I know, except for Scott, that guy can go jump in a fire. He probably will this weekend when Brady loses to the Saints. But it's like everybody that's, that are football fans that I know, they're all Raider fans. Like, it's rare that I have a 49er fan friend. I've got one, and he's in D.C. So
it is Raider Nation, brother.
Yep.
Hey, if I was a football fan, I would be a Raiders fan, but I don't know if you want to get into that or not.
Let's dive in. What's wrong with football? Let's go.
Oh, football? What's wrong with football? Oh, man. Man, where do I start? I don't want to get political, so we won't go there. They have gotten too political.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think the only reason why I tolerate it, in a sense, is because I love football so much. And that's also why I haven't watched as much basketball as I normally do, because basketball is not my favorite sport, and as political as they want to get, that's why I hardly watch it.
Yeah. I pretty much gave up on all sports. But really what happened to me, what broke my heart was when the Raiders, I can't remember the coach's name, but he went to play for, first of all, they didn't get into the playoffs, so they fired the head coach. Can't remember how, it was about 10 years ago. And then that head coach went to Tampa Bay.
You're talking about Gruden.
And then Tampa Bay and Raiders went to the Super Bowl the next year, and Tampa Bay beat them.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of talk on that one, too, that I forget the Coughlin, Jesus. The hell was the guy's name that took over? He changed the
wasn't it Shanahan?
No, it wasn't Shanahan.
I thought it was.
Shanahan was coaching the Broncos.
Oh, okay.
But he changed the gameplay right before the Super Bowl. The other problem was our freaking star center, was it Mac? Not Mac. No, it was Mac. Alex Mack or something like that. He was in.
I thought Alex Mack was like a lady that sings.
No.
It's Pop Princess playing football before.
He decided to go to Mexico. It wasn't even in town when it was the Super Bowl. He was in Mexico in Tijuana getting drunk. But Gruden, Gruden's back coaching the Raiders.
Yeah, but they lost my interest, man. When it was what was his name? Al, the owner, the coach, Al Davis. Yeah. I mean, just for years, he was really driving that franchise into the ground. And the whole reason I watched football is because of Raiders. And then when they started going downhill, I was just like, done, man.
He definitely tried to do what he could to get one before he had passed.
Yeah.
On February 4th, 30 for 30 is doing the whole thing about him versus the NFL. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
It is a good story. Like the whole thing of the AFL and him getting the AFL to be melded into the NFL and being one of the last surviving owners of the AFL to still make it big in the NFL. So, whether you feel about the Raiders, I think that's a good story to watch.
He did a lot of good things for the sport. And there's a couple teams that wouldn't be around if he wasn't for him. The Niners were one of them. The Niners they were getting ready to sell the team. The guy, they couldn't afford it, and he helped fund them to keep the team, and then he won it more Super Bowls than us. He did a bitch. But I mean, like a lot of
49ers had a run there in the 90s, right?
80s to 90s, yeah.
80s to 90s, yeah, they had a run.
we just had a lot of bad shit happen. I mean, as much everybody gives the Raiders shit for picking up Jamarcus Russell, but if you look at his stats in college and everything, the guy was the number one pick, and the guy just did not give a shit. Like there was a story that they didn't think that he was actually watching the game film, so they gave him a blank tape. And the next day, he came in talking about everything he saw on the game film, and it was blank. So that's how they officially knew that he was full of shit. I mean, but like I said, if you look at his college stats, if the Raiders didn't have that first pick, someone else whoever had that first pick probably would have picked Jamarcus Russell. It's just the Raiders' luck that
it just went that way.
Look at it. We finally get back to the playoffs, and our quarterback breaks his leg the game before the playoffs or the week.
They're cursed, man. I don't know what it is.
Well, the NFL hates the Raiders, and they like to screw them. I'll give you an example. Was it last year or 2 years ago when they played Dallas? Remember when they used the paper, they folded it in half just to try to make sure, there's a little bit of space here. This isn't a first down.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
You know that was bullshit, Brian.
There's a lot of things that are bullshit. I think that Pat and I have gotten to the point when it comes to like football and stuff that I respect his choices. Hopefully he respects mine, but he probably says fuck the Niners most of the time. But where we can have civil conversations about football, unlike some other people that don't know what the hell, they want to bring everything and anything into it. Where, I just want to talk about the way the game's played. I just want to talk about the teams, those types of things. I don't need to talk shit to everybody,
Well, unless you're a New England or Tom Brady fan, then.
Well, fuck him. But that's a whole different story. The only thing I can appreciate about the guys that you saw that side by side photo. Did you see that this week? They did ex-Raider quarterback. I forget the guy's name, but he was the oldest guy to win a playoff game.
For the Raiders?
For the Raiders, yeah. He's the oldest dude to win the playoff game, and he's the same age as Tom Brady now.
Was it Plunkett?
No, it wasn't Plunkett because that's my first thought. And Stabler is my second thought, but it's not. But anyway, so when he won it, which was I think I want to say in the 70s, I think when he did, at his age, and they showed the side-by-side with him and Brady looks like he could be his son. Like, the guy just looks so much older at his age. And for Brady to look and play the way he does, as much of an asshole he is, it is quite amazing. But besides that, he's a
fuck that guy
motherfucker. Ugg boot wearing motherfucker. So
I just know he's won a bunch of Super Bowls. I don't know what.
Well, now did he win a bunch of Super Bowls? Let's see. Let's go over it. There's the time they Spygate.
Opened a can of worms here.
You guys need to kill some time, right?
They got caught cheating with the camera. How about the Flakegate? Oh, there's another one. What was the other one? Oh shit! Now I'm gonna go blank on it. My brain is not working today. I had a hell of a day at work, but yeah.
Oh, there's that time that he was giving the beaches to the refs. Remember that one?
Jesus. Well, I mean, was it the Seahawks gave him one? Why not having Marshawn Lynch run in the freaking ball? Best running back in the league, and you throw it on the 1 yard line on the first down. How stupid is that?
Hey, your audio just got real low, man. Pat?
Yeah, you keep going between being low and being,
I think
good.
I gotta get a new adapter thing.
Gonna get you a new setup.
Yeah.
Because you keep going low, low, low.
Right here, man.
Well, I have
the H5 Zoom. It's an expensive microphone, but you can use it as a portable device too.
Is that better?
Oh yeah, that's a lot better.
That sounds better.
I switched my webcam.
Oh.
Well, there you go.
So now we're going to hear feedback?
We're going to clean up and post.
That's okay.
I'll leave this one up to you, Patrick.
You sound better, man. That's what counts.
Yeah, I have a board and all that stuff, but for some reason it's acting stupid. Brian needs to come over and help me fix it.
Well, I guess I'm going to be there for ribs on Saturday, and that's the way I'm going to pay for my ribs.
Yep.
So, I guess we don't have a whole lot. I mean, we have a lot for the show because we got a lot to talk to Andrew about, and I bet you Andrew has a lot of questions for us as well. But
you want to do the picks real quick?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. We do some picks. I was just going on what we're going to probably be doing for the next little bit of the show. But you so rudely interrupted me there, Pat. Look at that chemistry.
Is this the fantasy football thing?
Yeah, it's just our quick little
okay.
thing because we do a pick 'em every week with a bunch of other people that play along with us. And so we're just going to talk real fast. It's only playoff games, 4 games this weekend that we've got there. But let's talk about the league real fast for season 6. Wow, seems like it's a long time. So leaders right now, I've got first with 1492. Pat's in second with 1455.
With more wins?
Yeah, you're only beating me by 4 wins. You know, maybe you're going to total X out this week, and I'll be ahead of you. And then iHeart Music is in third, 1377. 916 49er fan is very close with 1368. The Angry Dad himself, 1359. So that's really anybody's game, depending on how this weekend goes. And then kind of the rest, it seems like everybody's just dropped off. So, we've only got a couple games left, and whoever gets the most points gets the gift card, and then whoever comes in second, I guess Pat's going to buy them something of their choice.
Don't they have their choice? Yeah, I need a house.
Well, pretty much, if Ben wins second place, you know what you're going to be buying him.
Something Dragon Ball Z?
Probably. No, I think it's a Funko Pop is I think what we're doing that.
Yeah.
The second place is the consolation prize. Whoever gets the most wins out of all the people that are there. And right now, it looks like that would actually be 916 49er fan who has 163 wins.
We don't want that guy to win, though.
You don't want that guy to win because it's another 49er fan. He's going to make you buy other 40 because I'm going to make you buy something 49ers. So that's the bet, Andrew. If I win the season over him, he's got to buy me something. We were doing Funkos, I think. Still, I'd have to buy him a Raider Pop, and he'd have to buy me a Niner Pop. Last year, he bought me a Joe Montana. So, but you
could do worse, man. Even if you're not a 49er fan, you got to love Joe Montana.
That's right.
That dude's awesome.
I had no problem buying Joe Montana pop.
Though I don't know what Papa would be this time. I know there's a Jerry Rice, so Jerry Rice would be okay too.
I'll get you a Greg Papa.
Greg Papa? Just because he was a
former Raider announcer.
You know what? I would actually take if they had one for a Ben King, I would take a Funko Pop for him.
I bet you they do.
I would hope so. He's supposed to be getting in basically putting in some type of the Radio Hall of Fame. I think he's been nominated. I think he might actually be going in
he's
for
the
announcers.
Voice of God.
That's right. Voice of your Oakland A's.
Holy Toledo.
That's right.
So talking about these picks, who do you got for the Rams and Packers?
Rams and Packers. I'm going with the Packers on this one. I don't know. I mean, Jared Goff looked good last week, but I just don't know if he's going to be 100% healthy, even though I just feel like Seattle, their offense just completely crapped the bed. Yeah, like what happened, them and the Steelers, man. Like, but the Steelers have been going downhill for the last 6 weeks, so I didn't expect them to win that game anyway. And the funny thing is I think 2 of the choices – so the Cleveland one I had last week, and I thought I had put the Rams in as my choice because I was like, oh, I'll do it. And then I realized I picked the Seahawks. Fucking hate the Seahawks, man. Like, as much as people around here hate the Raiders, 49er fans supposed to hate Raiders. No, I don't really give a crap. Seattle can go suck a dick. Pete Carroll's the only thing I wish he had that mask off of his face so I could see his dejected face when he lost.
The funniest thing I gotta say about Pete Carroll is when he's like, "I'm never gonna go to the NFL. I'm always gonna be a college coach," and all that scandal came out about him. All of a sudden, Seattle, I'll come coach for you.
I'll come. I'll leave USC. No worries.
Well, I too am going with the Packers. They're just on fire. Aaron Rodgers on point. That offense is. Rams defense is the only thing that's going to be their saving grace, I think. I mean, nothing against Goff because I'm a Goff fan, but he has a broken hand and the other guy has a concussion. I mean.
Yeah, and I think Blake Bortles is the backup.
Yeah,
so
well, you're
we'll
bringing
see.
a knife to a gunfight.
Yeah. Well, the only thing is that, I'm seeing a lot of the same things with the Packers as the 49ers did a lot last year, which was they'll be offensively great for the first half, and then the second half, all of a sudden, they just dry up. And that's what seems what's happening in a lot of their games and a lot of the big games that they lost this year. So, it should still be a good game, but we'll see what happens. So the next game, it's Buffalo playing Baltimore in Buffalo. It's the playoff game number 2 for Buffalo. See if they can get to the next round. Who you got, Pat?
I got Buffalo on this one. They are on fire. Josh Allen is legit. I think he's going to be the next big thing as far as quarterback goes. There's only a certain amount of quarterbacks that can go around, and to me, he's proving that he's going to be in that elite class.
Yeah, I
nothing
agree.
Against the Ravens, nothing against Lamar Jackson, because Lamar I think has the potential to do some big stuff too. But that defense, the Buffalo's defense is just on point. Their offense is on point, and I think they're trying to get some revenge for losing the Super Bowl 4 years in a row in the 90s. So,
yep, I would love to see the Bills get back there. I'd love to see the Bills to beat the Chiefs this year. I think that they have the best chance to do it, but I wouldn't sleep on Baltimore either. Like you said, Lamar Jackson. He seems like he got the playoff monkey off his back last week. If their defense plays well and they can contain Allen, but if you can't, that's going to be a terrible game for you. And Stephon Diggs has been playing out of his mind this season.
He is playing legit.
Yeah. He found the place that he needs to be in.
Yeah.
All right, then you got Cleveland going into Kansas City. You got there.
This is
my surprise
Browns.
pick.
Yep.
Oh.
I'm taking the Browns. You know why? Fuck the Chiefs. But also
because it's a division rival, that's why.
Fuck the Chiefs. But no, honestly, I feel like the Browns are playing good. They got some momentum going. And whether Big Ben threw 4 interceptions, he didn't have a good game, that's a confidence booster. 2 weeks in a row, you beat Pittsburgh. And not only did you beat Pittsburgh, you beat them in the playoffs. And not only did you beat them in the playoffs, you beat them in Pittsburgh in the playoffs. So they're coming in with their balls big, and Kansas City, the last few games, have been playing like shit. Even the ones they won, they looked like they didn't look great, and now they had a week off. That might have cooled them off even more. Am I going to say it's a guaranteed victory? No. Is it the lowest amount of points I could have put on it? Yes, but I'm still going with the doo-doo Browns.
I need some type of graphic. Is this your lock of the week? Pull up a big giant lock or some shit.
That's my lock of the week.
I'm going with Kansas City on this one. The reason why is the second half of that game against Pittsburgh. Yeah, they beat them good, but they let them get back in that game where they could have come back. And if it wasn't for the last 2 field goals that they kicked, I think Pittsburgh had a chance of winning that game. But like you say, Kansas City hasn't been playing as good, so it's possible. But they did get the nice little break that no one else got. So,
the problem though, like I was gonna say, is that prevent defense. That's the main reason. Look at the freaking Raiders. We beat Kansas City, gave them their only loss. Well, legit loss because the other was it. I think they lost the last game, but they sat like the whole team. They should have had 2 losses to the Raiders this year, but what happened on the second one? We had them beat, and we decided to go to prevent defense that prevents you from winning the game.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's my dad's saying.
That's my new saying, by the way. I took it from your dad. Your dad don't count no more. Anyways. Copyrighted.
Copyright, Solus Productions.
They let him chop all the way down the field, and then you leave the best freaking tight end in the game, or at least one of them, wide open. Raiders defense needs a lot of work. But, like I said, that prevent defense just screws you.
Well, what do you think about the signing for the Raiders with the defensive coordinator of the Chargers?
You know more knowledge than me. When the hell did that happen?
I think it was announced today or yesterday.
It must have been today because I haven't even. I was today at work. I didn't want to get into it right now, but I haven't checked any kind of sports news at all. So I mean,
well, you got that, and you got what's his name, Meyer. Is going to be the new head coach of the
I heard about that. Yeah,
Urban Meyer.
Jaguars.
Jaguars. There you go. I like the one meme that I saw. If you couldn't stand us at 1 and 12, then don't love us at 4 and 1 and 15. Then don't love us at 4 and 12.
Yeah. Hey, I think
that would be something that would be edited because my mouth got mushy. But fuck it.
Yeah. But I don't know. We'll have to see. The problem is not only the coach, but like defensive coordinator, I should say, but it's also the players. Our guys are always, and I've said this, you've probably heard me say this a million times. Our guys are always playing catch up. They're never playing with the offense. They're always trying to catch up to what's going on. So we need some faster guys. We need some better cornerbacks, and we need some better linebackers.
All right. Well, the last game of the week is Tampa Bay and New Orleans in New Orleans.
Well, I'm going with the New Orleans Eights. Fuck the Bucks. Fuck Tom Brady. Fuck Forte. Fuck the horse they rode in on. Fuck Scott. Fuck them all.
It's not Scott anymore. Remember, it's David.
His mama named him Scott. I'm going to call him Scott. I'm going to give you the line from Coming to America. I've known this man for over 10 years. His name was Scott. He decided to change it a year ago. Guess what it's going to be called? Scott.
Oh, so that's it for foosball. You know, it is the devil's game. So, all right. So, Andrew, if you're ready, we're ready to ask you some questions.
Yeah, I am ready. Did we take care of all the essentials?
We've basically got all the essentials done. We're just going to go into our questions, and then we're going to go into our game. And,
okay.
You know, and feel free if you want to know any answers from us on any of the questions that are asked here, because, you know, even though we may have spoken about at a different episode, then it's still not a problem because, you know, this is getting to know you. And if you want to get to know us, feel free to ask what you want.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely want to get to know you. So, okay. How about you ask a question? I ask a question. That
works for me.
No, we'll do it. We'll do it however you want to.
No, that works for me too. If you want to do that, we can do that. It's not a problem at all. So it starts most basic. It's the same questions that we asked Ben, the angry dad himself, as well as asked the Back in Time guys. And so we start with the most simplest of everything. What city did you grow up in?
Oh, not too far from you guys, Vacaville.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I don't remember what podcast you were talking about. I remember you saying that, Vacaville.
Yeah, Vacaville. So, yeah, Vacaville High School, Bulldogs. I wasn't that big into sports or anything, but and I didn't do too good in school. I was just mostly, you know, hung out with a bunch of friends. What's that?
Trying to get by.
Trying to get by, yeah. Yeah, trying to graduate from high school so I can get out of that town because it was a small town when I was living there.
Yeah, it's still, I mean, it's grown a little bit, but it's still, you know, considered at least around here to be a pretty small town. I mean, I don't know about back then, but now it's kind of, you know, it's the outlet place.
Yeah. The most fun we had in, you know, growing up in Vacaville was we play, do you know what a wiffle ball is? A wiffle ball bat?
Hell yeah.
You know, the big fat wiffle ball?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'd play baseball in the streets with a tennis ball and a wiffle ball bat.
He's going to grab the thing that he keeps Crystal in control with.
I have my wiffle ball bat somewhere in here. I don't know what that's at.
Yeah, we play hours on end, man, in the middle of the street on the concrete.
Oh man!
And we play that wiffle ball baseball. That or we would go down into the creek. That Vacaville has a bunch of creeks running around the outskirts of town, so we'd go down into the creek and play around down there, get adventurous and stuff.
Yeah, there's always a nice little bit of woodland, especially when you're coming in from Fairfield and you're coming down in. That's like the spot of Vacaville that, like, if I were to live in the area, that's where I'd want to be because it feels like, you know, you got city close enough, but it feels like you're out in the wilderness by yourself at the same time.
Yeah, and the closest thing we had to a mall, you had to drive all the way to Fairfield for that. So me and friends of mine used to literally hitchhike down the freeway to get to Fairfield. This was back in the 70s. Okay, we're talking about like late 70s. No, mid 70s. Because I would have been in junior high before I could drive. We would hitchhike to Fair. I mean, it was Fairfield's like 15 miles away from Vacaville, right?
Relatively close, but you know, the 70s and being able to hitchhike is nothing like today, and not really being able to hitchhike at all.
Right. I mean, there was still people doing weird stuff on the freeways back then, and you know, the movies. If the movies didn't make you afraid of hitchhiking back then, nothing's going to make you afraid, right? Like, I don't know if this was a hitchhiking movie or not, but do you remember that movie Last House on the Left? Yep, the original? Yep. That movie was weird. And for some reason, talking about hitchhiking reminded me of that movie.
Isn't that how she gets kind of caught up in everything? Or are they just walking down the road?
You know what? I think they picked her up to take her to some show or something, and then they diverted out into the woods.
It made it a very uplifting topic for the podcast.
Sorry, man. I didn't mean to go down that road.
No.
It just triggered something. You know, hey, there's that trigger word.
No, yeah. When I heard that, it made me think of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, that one too.
That too.
You know.
The 70s version, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Not that version with Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger. No.
Well, that's a weird one.
Someone's gonna piss off Dave.
Dave, is that what is his? I was gonna call him Phantom Dark, but his new podcast is Podcast from Another World, huh?
Yep. And always Christmas all the time, or whatever, or it's always Christmas, or whatever. There's his wiffle ball bat.
Yeah. No, we used to use the big ones, man. The big fat orange ones.
Oh yeah, we use this one, man. That'd take more skill, man.
Yeah. Try hitting his tennis ball with that thing.
You know, he says it takes more skill, but the ball's like about that fucking big.
No, it's not. It's the same as a regular ball. Not the ones with the big holes. We have the white ones with the little slots.
All right. So let's go on to question number 2 then. So what did you want to be when you grew up? Like, what was your dream?
Oh, my earliest memory of what I wanted to be was an astronaut. Because 1969, the astronauts walked on the moon. And I remember watching that on TV. And I thought, man, that's what I want to do. I want to be an astronaut. So for Christmas, like 3 years in a row, I kept asking my parents, I want moon boots. And they were like, what are moon boots? You know, they didn't even know what that was. But I thought if I got moon boots that I could walk up the walls like you see in the sci-fi movies. Because I must have saw somebody walking around on the walls. I wanted some of those boots that can make you walk around on the walls.
You sure you weren't watching Spider-Man?
Yeah, no, Spider-Man was a little bit later. Yeah, I wanted to be Spider-Man for a little while too. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to be a police officer for a little while, but that wasn't until later on. So my earliest memories of what I wanted to be was an astronaut.
All right. So what would you say that your 5 favorite movies are? No order, just, and if you can't pick 5, then what are some of your favorite movies?
Okay, Blade Runner, Lord of the Rings, Doctor Strangelove is in there, man. I love that movie.
That's a great movie.
Yeah.
Peter Sellers is amazing in that movie.
Yeah, he kills it, man. So let's see. Well, of course, Star Wars, the original Star Wars, and Empire Strikes Back. Those are kind of like, that whole trilogy is almost like one movie, except, I don't know, man. Return of the Jedi, that's kind of a different movie, but the first 2 back to back, I think that's like one movie. So how many is that? 4?
4.
I guess the second Blade Runner, man. I love that movie. Oh, and Mad Max. I like the Mad Max movies. So
they're always have been really great films. Like, and it's weird that you have so much spacing in between, you know, from the original Mad Max movies even to the Fury Road, and Fury Road feels like it could have just been at that same time as the original Mad Max movies.
Yeah.
Practical effects wins everything.
Well, okay, so in my opinion, the two movies are equal for different reasons. The original Mad Max is just a masterpiece. It's a perfect movie. Mm-hmm. The practical effects, like you said, are just amazing. The new movie, Fury Road, is just an absolutely gorgeous movie, and it's a really timely story. You know, it's really pro strong lead woman character, which is something that's really big right now in cinema. Mm-hmm. So I'm cool with that. You know, that's all good. Charlize is an amazing actor. The Mad Max character in that movie almost took a second chair, and I didn't really like that about it. Mm-hmm. But they made up for it with the visual effects and the absolutely stunning cinematography they did in that film, and the stunts, man. Oh my God, the stunts they did!
Absolutely amazing. And it's amazing that director is basically just done the Mad Max movies. And right. it's him and his wife that she's edited every one of them, and he's directed every one of them.
Yeah.
Maybe she might not have done the first one. I'm not sure, but it's crazy that's what he's done, and they're all just fantastic movies. Even Beyond Thunderdome.
Yeah, I like Beyond Thunderdome. I mean, I like all the Mad Max, even the first one, Mad Max the original. Mm-hmm. It's just a unique, interesting world that George Miller created, and it kind of sucks that there is so much time in between the films. You know, as a fan, I want to see a new Mad Max movie every year if that's possible. But you know, it just didn't work out that way. But I'm happy with the body of work that we've seen, and each of those movies in its own right is really good movies.
All right, why don't we take one of your questions?
Okay, so you guys explained to me how you met each other, but how long after you met each other did you start podcasting, and what got you into it?
Well, what I got me into it was back in 2009. I had a friend who came up to me and says, "Hey, man, me and two of our other friends, we're going to start a podcast." And I said, "What the fuck's a podcast?" And then they basically told me, because it was a video game podcast, they're like, "Well, basically, we're just going to talk about video games, what's coming out, what we've been playing, you know, what we're looking forward to, what we like, don't like." And I said, "Man, that's right up my alley." So the four of us started doing a podcast, and slowly we had one guy leave, then the next guy left, and it was just me and the guy who wanted to start it, Jeremy. And honestly, he still wants to do it, but you know, then you don't hear from him for 2 years. But then there was an episode where he couldn't be there, and I was like, "Well, let me get a guest." And you know, Brian and I started dating Crystal, and well, we were on and off for a while, but then this last time we got together, 2003. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think, the first time I actually met you was probably a year.
It was probably 2000, maybe 4 or 5, somewhere around there.
Year and a half.
Because then it went into being, you know, you guys getting married and my cousin getting married and everything like that. You know, we started hanging out a lot more after that. Yeah, I think. You know, we kind of knew each other. You know, it was like once they're married, they're family. So I got to get to really know them. You know,
as much as this guy's an asshole.
Yeah, but I never thought of you as an asshole. You know, it's one of those things where you're gruff, but you have a caring heart, man. And I'll say that all the time, defend that all the fucking time. But it's you know, I got to know you more, and I think a lot of it was that you asked me to do that, and that actually kind of opened the floodgates for a lot of things. In terms of podcasting for myself, I'd been listening to podcasts for quite a while. There's a radio show that we both like, and they used to do podcast broadcasts where it wasn't the full episode of the radio show, but it was just like the big clips, like the big segment of the day. And so like I'd load those up and I'd listen to those as I could, but I also started getting into a lot of different comedians that had podcasts. So like Doug Benson, he was kind of the first real podcast that I listened to. He does Doug Loves Movies, still does it. And it's a movie comedy where he talks to comedians. He does like a little bit of interview, and then they play movie games at the end of it. And I loved listening to that. And then I was a big fan of Chris Hardwick from like even way back in the days of Singled Out. Used to watch that show. And then he was doing some things on G4 when G4 was around, the gaming channel. He did like a talk soup type of show. And so my wife and I used to watch that. And then I found out that he had a podcast called The Nerdist, which is now called Idiot. And she actually bought me his book. And when we started doing this, we started talking. I wanted him to take the plunge of doing a podcast at some point because he talks a lot about, just kind of wanted you just do it. Like, don't think about it. Just figure out how to do it on your own. Whatever you want to do. Because if you don't succeed, okay, you failed. But who gives at least you tried. And It was more about like believing in yourself to just put something out there. Because once it's out there, it's out there. You can't do anything about it anymore. And then if people listen to it, they listen to it. Or people consume it, they consume it. And somebody's gonna like it. Some people are gonna hate it. But you did it. It's out there. And we did that podcast, and then I was just like, we started talking, like, maybe we should do it. And then I just kind of went gung-ho with it, because I've been trying to do music stuff for years, and I've never really been able to record anything, and I'm still trying to maybe record something someday, but this was the other way. I'm like, well, you know what? Here's something creative that I can do. And so we started doing It Be Like That. And then when we decided to kind of do this every other week, that's when I split off and I started doing Terrible Terror, because it was, around stuff that my wife and I used to talk about with crappy horror movies. That was like our date thing to do. And I'm like, well, I had a lot of different influences from different people. I'm like, what if I can do a show how I want to do it as a podcast? And then I started putting the time and effort into that. And I still do this because I still really enjoy it. It's not like I want to, as much as I, Pat jokes around with me, well, you put all your time into everything else, into that. But this is like, it's not saying I don't have to do much, but it feels so much natural, and I don't have to worry about being perfect to do this, that it doesn't feel like a job. And so it's just a fun little thing. And, it's going on to other little things, whether it's 5 people that listen to it or it's, 10,000 people listen to it. It's still fun to do.
Can we get 10,000 people to listen to it?
Yeah, it would be nice.
That would be nice, man.
Yeah, make those advertisers come in and actually spend money on it.
Yeah.
If I could do this, if I could do this full time, this would be like the way to go. I'd love to do this stuff. And then, like my wife always like, oh, what if you won the lottery of things? What would you do? I'm like, I'd build a studio, like a real studio, make it all nice and decked out, and then just record shows, record different types of shows, bring people in to do that stuff. It just would be fun. I could actually throw marketing money at this, rather than, I'm going to boost this post for the $20 for just 1 week to reach like 20 people.
You do 20, man. I only do 10 at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, those things don't do shit. Not unless you put thousands of dollars into that crap. Then people consume. But yeah, that's basically it.
That's cool. Now you guys are superstar podcasters known by millions.
Yeah, millions of tens of ones of people.
Yeah. That's funny. I've heard tens. I've never heard ones of people.
We're popular to Ben and Dave.
Yeah, they love you guys though, man. Loyal fans are worth $1 million.
Dude, I love anybody that just takes the time to listen to us.
Yeah,
I don't care who you are, what you do, what you believe in. You took the time to sit and listen to me ramble for a little bit, or make a dumb joke, talk like Skeletor, about football teams.
do it. Skeletor voices.
Damn you, He-Man!
Listen to it be like that. But yeah, it's it's just a cool experience, even if it's just a couple of guys that you end up. And there's cool people that we've gotten to meet. We've gotten to meet you, we've gotten to meet Kyle and JD from back in time. You see that thing with Neil that his artwork for the host movie is now a Fright Rags piece of official merchandise for the host.
Cool. Good for him, man.
It's cool shit that you see these people that you've interacted or you've helped or you've done whatever. You know, you look at Randy from Here on Mars. I never thought that I'd be in a liner for a freaking album, and yet here it is. My podcast is mentioned in his CD liner. It's one of those cool little things that happens, you know. And there's a lot of cool people out there, and you know, you get to keep having fun with your friends. That's basically all this is.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the biggest perks to doing a podcast is that you get to meet new people, have interesting conversations with people that you'd probably never even talk to unless you did have a podcast.
Well, I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, starting this, like I said, starting a video game podcast in 2009. I mean, never thought I'd, you know, like I met some of my best friends now, part of the PTO Unlimited podcast. They're in Indiana. I flew out there, you know, back in November, got to meet Kyle because Kyle happened to live in the same city, you know, but like, you know, people that probably never would have met otherwise. I mean, look, we're all in, other than, you know, Brian and Ben and myself being in California, everybody's in different states. And it's just cool that we're meeting all these different people. And hopefully when all this crap is over with traveling and the corona and all this crap, we can do some big meetup somewhere, you know? All of us.
That'd be cool.
Have our own little convention that
that ones and ones of people will be at.
Yeah.
We'll just have Dave back there, and he can take off his shirt and like whip it around. Woo! 'Cause he's the one that, you know, he started the whole SIPNet thing of getting everybody together and, hey, we're going to be a network. And Dave has a lot of love for everybody that's a part of it. Like he's probably, you know, I'm not saying that nobody else is cool or whatever, but like he's one of the most dead to real guys that wants to support everything. And whenever he says something, I believe what he says, because a lot of people can blow shit up your ass and, you know, you're not going to know what to say. Okay, whatever. But when he says what he says, he means what he says. And, you know, he's just so into it. And it's just a rare chance of getting him asking me to be on an episode has brought all of this to everybody. So it's cool.
Well,
man.
he's one of the catalysts for me actually starting the podcast. He invited me to come on as a guest before I even did my own podcast. And after getting a little taste of it being on his podcast for one episode, it was kind of at the same time as I was starting mine, but that really kind of got me over the edge because I had to get all my gear set up to make sure I was able to, you know, record with him at that time. And so he was pretty integral in me getting started in podcasting, and then invited me over to the SIP network with you guys, and I got to meet all you guys. It's been a great experience.
Most definitely. And then you get to stare at Baby Yoda down there in the corner.
My grandson has one of those, man. He loves that thing.
I'm sorry, Patrick. It's the child.
Grogu, thank you.
Grogu,
yeah. Whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah.
That's Crystals, by the way.
Spoiler alert. Sure it isn't. It's on your side of the bed.
Oh, it's not. My side of the bed's over there. My side of the bed's where all the Spider-Man Marvel comic stuff is at.
I got some comic book stuff in here too. I'm a comic book fan ever since I was little. So I got one more question for you guys. And
Sure.
This one is like when you guys were growing up in San Francisco, is that where you guys both grew up?
Well, in the East Bay.
East
Yeah.
Bay? Okay.
Both of us
Hayward.
in Hayward, Castro Valley area.
So I went there, you know, I went to San Fran. I used to go to the pier or the wharf, you know, Pier 39. Is that what it's called? Pier 39?
Yeah.
And then, but, you know, being like, I had a buddy who lived in Oakland, and that was more inner city where he was living. And I went down there and hung out with him for a weekend or something, man. And that was a weird experience for me. It was pretty frightening. Did you guys have any experiences like that up in the area where you live?
Well, where I was at in Hayward, I mean, it's a little bit worse than what it was when I grew up. It wasn't exactly Oakland, but it wasn't exactly, you know, the suburbs either.
Yeah.
we heard gunshots at night and stuff like that. We were right by the tracks, or not that far from the tracks, I should say. But I mean, I never felt unsafe. Of course, where I lived was around all my cousins. My grandparents owned the property, and I had both my uncles lived in one house in front. My other uncle lived in a duplex next to me, and I got to grow up with all my cousins. So I think that could be part of the reason why I didn't ever really feel that unsafe. We were always in a group together, and some of my older cousins might have been into things that they shouldn't have been into, but for some reason, no one really messed with us. But also, my dad and my uncles had a reputation. Oh, you're a soulless, huh? I had a teacher. I love this story. I love telling this story, I should say. Her very first year teaching, she had my dad, and she had I think she had like one of my uncles. She pretty much had all my cousins. When she got to me, she saw the last name Solus and tried to get me out of her class. Never met me, but then she didn't get me out, and she loved having me. And then the very last year, she thought she had my brother. So she must have had about 8 or 9 Soluses throughout her career of growing up, or teaching, I should say. But
just missed out on your sister, huh?
Well, by then they had moved to Castro Valley, so she went to Canyon.
Oh, and then Castro Valley High.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. People say that where we grew up was ghetto. I never felt that way, really. But was it the safest areas? Maybe not. But maybe because we just grew up and I didn't really think nothing of it. I heard a lot of stories too about Oakland and stuff like that too. But I never didn't feel safe. At the same time, I knew it wasn't the safest at all times. But
for me, we're both, Patrick and I are living in we live in the same townhouse complex that over here in Castro Valley. We actually we're living about 4 blocks away from where I grew up. So I'm basically still living in the same area I grew up as a kid, and very different, in terms of from where Patrick was. But my aunt, my uncle, my grandfather, my grandmother passed away when I was relatively young, about 10, 11. And so my uncle and my cousins basically moved in with my grandfather and lived there with him for a very long time over in Hayward off of Tarman. And, that area, I used to go over there, be with my grandparents when I was really little. And it was fine. It's not the same as what it was. It was still considered, like what Pat was saying, a little bit of a rough area because it's very close to the freeway. But there's still the other side of the tracks. Literally from where we are here, and when you go into Hayward, there are like where the BART is, the Barry Rapid Transit, right? There's the train tracks. Literally on our side of the train tracks is nice. You cross over that into Cherryland, and it's one of the worst areas in Hayward that you could possibly be in. That's where he grew up. And Ben would say the same thing. Where Ben was in Union City, that was also the Dakota area. You crossed one part of it, and then all of a sudden you're in a great part of Union City. But for me, this was like kind of suburbia, at least while I was growing up. It's gotten a little rougher, but it's still not like it's not to the point where I'd be like, oh, I'm worried about getting pulled over or shot or whatever it is. And my father was huge into roller derby, still is. He used to be a roller derby ref for the California leagues, for the main one that in the 70s and early 80s that did was the televised program, the Bay City Bombers and Calvello and all those people. He was a part of that group. So the stuff that we did was around those type of people, and I never got to experience, what would be the rough parts of California. And, going into Oakland, my dad grew up in Oakland. He grew up in the Skyline District. The Skyline District is much rougher than it was when he was growing up. And he would always tell us stories, but then he would always be like, yeah, there's always bad areas of Oakland, but if you just go in there and you just act normal, you don't act afraid, and you don't act like you're better than everybody else there. And, you know, I thank my father for that. You can go anywhere. And I've got friends that, you know, my sister-in-law is living in Oakland right now in Fruitvale, which happens to be a nice area of Oakland, but a couple blocks one way, a couple blocks the other way, it's terrible. But, you know, I don't think I've ever had any problems in that regard. You know, we've been over where Scott used to live, David, or, you know, still Scott, where he used to live in that area over there, off of is it Tennyson? By Mount Eden.
Oh yeah, off of Tennyson.
That area is pretty rough, but I don't feel uncomfortable in there. Like, I just don't feel uncomfortable in a lot of spots in the Bay Area. It's weird and shit can go down, but I could, you know, I'm not saying that I want to live off of 99th in Oakland. You know, that's not the case. But if I'm just as Gabriel Iglesias said, just passing through, you know, everything is fine. But you can get some weird shit in San Francisco. You can get some weird shit, you know, out in Emeryville. I've had, you know, weird confrontations with people, but nothing where I feel like, I don't know. I think it's the people that I'm with. I think it's the people that you keep company. You know, some people are just idiots, and some people know how to handle themselves. And you're with the right people, it doesn't matter. And I know all sorts of people. So I guess I've been lucky that way. But I know people that haven't been lucky to be in those. You know, have been in those weird situations. You know, friends that were part of the you know, Hell's Angels motorcycle club here in Oakland. And they, you know, they've been in some shit, you know, so, and not just here, you know, internationally as well. So it's like, okay, I don't know, maybe I'm too sheltered for that type of lifestyle.
Yeah, it's definitely a different experience growing up in the city than where, like, a little town like Vacville.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had some good times, man, and there was not a real worry about gangs or things like that. Yeah, it might have been a more sheltered way to grow up, but it had its challenges. You know, I had my own challenges growing up. It wasn't anything like I had to worry about getting shot in a drive-by shooting or anything like that, though.
Yeah, I don't, you know, over here, yeah, back when I grew up, you know, it was, you could do whatever you want, basically. The only thing that, you know, it being the area that Castro Valley has been sometimes, you know, I may have felt treated different just because, and, you know, both of us are mixed. You know, we're both Mexican and white. And he's the opposite of me. My dad's the white one. My mom's the Mexican one. And his dad is the Mexican one. His mom's the white one. But sometimes, you know, you go into certain areas and people treat you different just because of how you look. And it comes from both sides too. You know, remember going to high school, I don't speak a lick of Spanish. But, you know, whenever something would go wrong here, you know, there are people come up to me speaking Spanish and like, I can't help you, dude. You know, what can I do? And then you go into other areas and it's like, you know, I feel like now it's easier to identify, and maybe I don't want to get like too much into it, but it's easier to identify as mixed because I think a lot more people are, and there's a lot more that you can identify with both sides. But I feel like when we were growing up, it was rough. You had to identify with one or the other, and it's hard to identify with one when you don't look like it. Yeah. So, but you know, it's something that goes with everything.
I remember there was Mexican restaurant right there on Meekland and A Street right there. You got a little where the overpass is for A Street, but there used to be a Mexican restaurant over there. And my parents went there. I mean, I think this was even before me. I think they were dating. And, you know, my dad started, like, they'd ask for drinks. Well, my dad would get his drink. You know, it'd take forever for my mom to get her drink. And finally my dad said something. It was basically, well, you bring this weather to our restaurant. You know, because my dad was with a white woman, it was an issue. You know.
Wow.
Yeah, same thing. But I wonder if my mom and dad went to that same restaurant too, because same thing happened to them, except for, you know, it was my dad getting the same shit, and my mom having to tell them off in Spanish. You know, I know what you're doing, you know, and this is my choice.
That's one thing I wish I knew was Spanish. I know a little bit. I know how to cuss in Spanish. I know tiny words. My grandfather, when he came from Mexico, he worked on the railroads through New Mexico all the way up into Kansas. And his first wife and my uncles they lived out there in Kansas for a long time, and they all spoke Spanish. But I think he also saw, especially from the time at the times, that the crap that they would get for knowing Spanish and everything. So when he ended up being with my grandma and had my dad and my uncles, he didn't teach them any Spanish. And because he thought it'd be a lot easier for them growing up to just speak straight English. But my grandfather, he did a lot of good things for the Mexican community. He always, like, if you're going to be here, become a citizen. He helped people do that. He did a lot of work with Cesar Chavez. The one thing I just found out recently about my grandfather was
it's the thing everybody else knows except for
everybody
Patrick.
knew this. Everybody knew this but me, apparently. But my grandfather used to do runs for Al Capone.
Oh, wow.
And that's part of the reason why he came to California, was he felt threatened or something. And so he came to California. But I was like, what do you mean? Except one of my brother was telling me this. I'm like, what do you mean Papa knew Al Capone? He goes, yeah, you should runs for him. I go, well, who told you this? He's like, Grandma, Papa told me this. And then I found out my sister knew, who's even younger than both of us. Then I found out my cousin's wife knew about it. I'm like, man, no one tells me nothing around here.
Isn't that crazy? Alcohol used to be illegal.
Yeah.
That's just insane to me. And it was only for a short time. It wasn't like it was outlawed forever and then it just became legal. It was legal, and then they outlawed it, and for 20 or 30 years or whatever, they had this massive underground movement of organized crime moving alcohol.
It's absolutely nuts. I mean, it's what we've seen with like the drug wars.
Yeah.
That would be the closest thing that we would have to have reference to see something like that. Now it seems like all that slowly, not the big stuff unless you live in fucking Oregon where you can trip off of magic mushrooms for free. But just marijuana in general, like it's now just,
I can't believe that's still not legal.
I'll say within
Yeah.
the next 4 years you'll see it. You'll see it legalized.
It should be. It should have been legal a long time ago. Yeah.
It sucks for the people that that are doing business with it now within the laws for the state. They can't go to banks. They have to deposit. They still need to pay taxes, but they got to show up with wads of fucking cash to pay for those taxes. And it's just so ridiculous. And so it's a reason why in certain areas these guys are getting hit and they're, getting robbed straight up because they have to carry these wads of cash and they can't put it anywhere. They got to hire these full-time security guys off of something that, it's not as big of a deal as it was, back when it was the devil's lettuce. It's
Devil's lettuce.
Hey man, it's another movie that we need to do one of these times. Go back and what's the name of that movie?
Are you talking about Reefer Madness?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. I had mind blank there.
That movie's crazy.
It's so terrible, but
yeah.
All right, let's. I'm going to shorten down some of these questions because we keep having good segues and conversations. So, here's one of the ones that's always interesting. Say, if you were able to live to 90 and retain either the mind or body of a 30-year-old for the rest of your 60 years. So you hit 30, or you hit the age you are now, and you're gonna. And I won't ask because the gentleman never asks. And you're gonna live another 60 years. Would you rather have the mind that you have now or the body that you have now?
Well, I'm 54. My body's already shot, man. So I would keep the mind because what I've learned in the time that I've had on this planet is fascinating, interesting stuff, and I'd want to retain that as long as I possibly could. Just because the experience of being human, I think it's more about the consciousness than it is about the physical ability. That's just my opinion. I did all the physical stuff when I was younger. I did some pretty incredible stuff physically when I was a kid. Like I said, I was never an athlete, but I was very athletic. didn't do any competitive sports or anything like that, but I could do some pretty cool stuff. When I was a kid, I was into martial arts like that, and I was really into weightlifting for a while. Kind of probably I went a little bit too heavy on the weights at an early age. I might have screwed up some things and made it harder for me in the long run. But yeah, if I could live to be, did you say another 60 years? That would put me at about 110, 115 years old. I'll be laying in bed, man, but I'll be sharp as a whip.
I may not be able to whip you, but I'll tell you how to fuck off in 10 different languages.
As long as I can continue learning, life is worth living.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So if you had the choice of anyone in the world, whether they were dead or alive, who would you want as a dinner guest?
Okay. This is an interesting question because the person that I think would have the most interesting story to tell, he would probably not tell me because of the classified. So if you take out the classified part of it, and he could tell me anything, I'd want to talk to President Eisenhower, Dwight D. Eisenhower, because apparently there's a legend or a myth that he met with aliens back in the 50s. He went to, I think it was, there's an Air Force base in California, in the desert of California. And he disappeared for like a half a day or something like that. And nobody really knows where he was at. There's the records of where he was at is missing or, redacted, not available. And there's a lot of speculation that he went and met with aliens and made some kind of a contract or agreement with these aliens. I'd want to ask him that question and tell me about that, and plus everything he knows about the whole UFO phenomena.
I'm pretty sure they could give you like a soundproof bubble that you two are just going to have dinner in so nothing gets out and only you know it. And then when you retain that old brain, then finally when it's your time to go, you can just say everything that you need to say to whomever it is that's out there.
Yeah. And you know what? I would even take that sworn to secrecy oath just to know the truth, man. A lot of people are like, oh no, I'd rather not know than have to have to know the truth and not be able to tell anybody. Screw that, man. I want to freaking know for myself. And if somebody is going to show me the evidence and I have to swear a secrecy oath, I would do it. Totally. And I'll keep that to myself until the dying days, man.
I just typed in Eisenhower and aliens. I'm gonna have fun going through this.
Yeah. We could do that on one of your podcasts or come on my podcast. We could talk about it, Pat.
Yeah, I'm going to do some research here.
Yeah, that's an interesting little tidbit of not really well-known history. So that would be my choice. And if he couldn't tell me, if it was like a more realistic person, if it was somebody that was living, I think Peter Jackson would be an interesting dinner guest. The director for the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I'd love to actually talk to him about Brain Dead and what's the other one, the first movie that he was known for. With the aliens and it's bad something. Shit.
Is it called Attack the Block or something like that?
Attack the Block. It's basically it's really low budget New Zealand film. God dang, because I just actually recently did it. What Bad Taste. Bad Taste is the name.
Is it Bad Taste? I see it right here, 1987.
Yeah. I have the thing on. You can't really see this thing.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna turn off this virtual background of Pat and me back here, so that I can actually show this, and you can see my lovely back of the room.
That backdrop is better than the
thing that was back there.
Virtual background.
It's
nothing
weird.
against the picture of you guys, but,
but this
What
is
are you trying
better.
to say?
No, I got my Killer Clown stuff up over there. Got the Oakland A stuff back in the other corner.
yeah, I dig that, man.
Little sound booth or soundproof stuff. Not soundproofing, but there's just sound dampening panels. We still have some room to do in this to make it a office / podcasting / streaming place.
That's cool. Right now is a good chance to talk about your background as you're podcasting, because Randy was asking about that here on Mars.
Mm-hmm.
On Twitter, he was asking about what type of accessories should he use to make the background look more professional or look more interesting for his podcast. And I told him, I said, it doesn't really matter what your background looks like as much as the content that you're putting out. I feel like the content is more important. And then, slowly add to it. Like, I'm lucky to have a friend who has a print shop, and he made these 2 cool ass signs for me. Yeah. I just got a bookshelf behind me.
I think it's definitely, you kind of want stuff that I say represents you, what your thoughts are. And like over in, I'm going to move this a little bit over here. I've got all the little podcast logos.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
On everyone. So I've got Dave's podcast there on the bottom that Neil did. Neil made the corn trees one. It's hard for me to point and do this at the same time.
That's it.
And then you got the Terrible Terror logo over there. And then we still need some type of real logo for it be like that I can put and make little things there. And there's just other things that, I like around the room, like the Killer Clowns thing. That's the movie that my wife and I, really kind of bonded over. That's her favorite movie ever, which is hilarious. And then above it, it's my favorite video game of all time, which is Final Fantasy VI. And then the Oakland A's, that came from Ben. And that's my favorite baseball team of all time. And that's all the different logos that they do. So it's just something to, represent me. And I want to do more as it go that way too. So that way.
Tell them about how, for Killer Clowns, when we met Christopher Titus and he yelled at you.
Yeah, so we went and saw Christopher Titus out there in at Tommy T's in Pleasanton. And after the show, I was talking to Pat. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go meet him and get a picture and tell him about that. And so I go to him, man, you're in one of my favorite movies ever. He's like, I'm never gonna fucking live that movie down, am I? But he is.
I've never seen that movie.
Killer Clowns is great.
No.
It's really 80s. Like, you want to talk about like 80s horror, but it's perfect because the costume's great. It's the perfect amount of cheese where it's not bad, but it's.
I don't know if you can see it. No, probably not. I was saying that's me.
Oh,
Titus, but too bright.
Yeah, but that guy's hilarious. And
he's right here from. He's right here from the East Bay.
That's right. He's from Newark, California. So, all right. So we got a couple more because I also want to make sure that we get in some time for the game for you guys too. Man, there's so many. If anybody was going to play you in a movie, who would it be, and why?
Okay, when I was younger, people used to tell me I look like Tom Cruise all the time.
So, I can see it. I can
see it too.
He's a lot shorter than I am, but he could probably play me.
Does he get to like jump out of any planes or do some dives and stand on boxes so that he can be taller than other people?
You know what? No, I never did any skydiving or scuba diving, anything like that. But I did do some. I was in the Army, National Guard, and got to shoot cannons and machine guns and bazookas.
That would make an interesting movie. You know, especially when they do movies about people's lives, it's never really the exact accurate thing as it is.
Yeah.
So if I were to ever have a movie done in my life, I'd want it to be like the worst comedy ever. you know, totally off, you know, like the whole thing with Bert Kreischer and Van Wilder, you know, that movie's based off his life as being the number one party guy at Florida State down there. And it's, you know, it's way overblown, but not quite. That's an interesting guy when you ever like hear about his stories. He's a funny guy, but everything that he's done is super interesting.
Yep.
So,
how long have you played? How long have you been in music? Played music?
Ooh.
Or do you play or do you sing?
I just sing.
Oh, okay.
I got the easy job.
Just sing.
It's the easy job. All I have to do is bring a mic, and that's it.
They call it the front man for a reason. You're the most important member of the band.
You know, I've always just done little things here or there. I've never really put like the band that I guess I'm still a part of. I guess we're still around. I don't know. We don't really know what's going on right now. We've done that for about 6 or 7 years. You know, about somewhere around there. But I've never really tried, like, that was me trying to do things serious. There was another band I was a part of for about 3 years, and we tried doing recording, but we tried to do it like a do-it-yourself at over here in Emeryville. The three of them met and went to school for audio engineering, and so we had access to the institute that they went to their recording studios for so much time, and that fell on its ass because the main guy that was going to do the recording, he couldn't remember how exactly to get the boards to work. And when we finally got them up, we then recorded drums and bass, no guitar. He was going to do that on his own. And then I had about an hour or less to do 12 songs with no retakes, basically. So
yeah,
I didn't
that's
sound
impossible.
so it didn't sound the greatest from me.
Yeah.
But you know, like I said, that's one of my goals, is to actually record an album just to say that I did it, whether it just gets put out. And again, if only 5 people listen to it, whatever it is. So I'm still talking with the guys that basically are left. It was me and one other guy that are kind of like the founders of the band. But I'm still waiting to hear from him about, you know, if we can get somebody to do track drums, and somebody to track the bass, and then both of us can go in there and just do what we need to do just for our parts and at least have something out. But yeah, so I'd say it's been about 7 years, but I've been singing for God knows how long, just for fun, doing events, karaoke, open mics. I used to do that a lot in college. Just somebody would give me a song they want me to sing, and I'd just go up there and sing it. Again, you know, if you don't do it, then you're going to either regret it or, you know, you're just never going to do it. So.
Takes guts, man. Takes guts to do that.
I sing in the shower.
Stand-up comedy is a hard one too.
Yeah.
I think stand-up comedy might even be harder than being in a band, because you're alone up there.
Well, that's what I wanted to do when I was growing up. I wanted to be a comedian.
Wow. Yeah.
And kind of podcasting allows me to be that silly person. Yeah. You know, because I don't take my stuff that seriously. You know, it's just the way it goes. But I know Ben's trying to do, I think, when things get back up. He was going to have his first show, and then COVID hit, you know. His
last a couple episodes ago, he had me busting a gut, man, when he was talking about that dude that made a claim against his video, his alien video. Did you guys see that episode? He was railing. He was railing on this dude for getting a strike on YouTube for using a video on his Bigfoot. You know,
so Bigfoot, I Married a Bigfoot
program. Yeah. So he was going on and on about that, and I was just listening to him for like 10 minutes. I was sitting there rolling. It's funny stuff, man.
Oh man, it's the perfect bite size, because I always seem to be playing catch up with his podcast because they're so short. And then you can just run like 10 of them, and I'm like, okay, it's the length of the normal podcast I listen to.
Yeah.
Just again and again. Well, and it's funny, and I'm sorry, Ben, but it's funny too, because like the beginning of it, like you can skip through like the first 3 minutes because it's.
I do.
Oh, God damn it.
I'm sorry too, Ben, but I just fast forward to the point where he starts talking. That's for new people, man. New people got to listen to that stuff.
That's right.
I've heard it like 100 times already.
And once again, somewhere right now, Ben's saying, God fucking damn it.
Do a podcast about it, Ben. Tell us all about it. How you feeling?
Well,
You guys ought to be like that.
Oh, they about to get a strike.
What about you, Pat? Who plays you in a movie?
Oh, jeez.
A movie about your life.
I don't even know, man. Honestly, I think I couldn't even answer this when you asked me. I think I don't know who could play me. I mean, probably be a tragedy. So,
All right. So Betty White and
I don't know. Like, I honestly couldn't tell you. Like, and that's. I don't feel like I look like. I don't feel like I look like anybody celebrity wise. I don't feel like.
oh, you could go with like Horatio Sands.
Thanks.
I don't know who that is.
He was an old SNL guy.
Oh, okay.
He's actually a really funny comedian outside of like the whole SNL stuff. He's a good improviser.
Maybe what's his name? How do you say his name?
Oh, John Favreau?
Yeah, the guy from Balls of Fury.
Oh, different guy. I was thinking you're thinking about Swingers guy and director of The Mandalorian.
Hey, is that the guy who was in Iron Man?
Yeah.
John Favreau?
Yeah.
You know, he directed and created the whole Mandalorian series.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And he's directed like half of the Avenger movies.
You know, he was in the Mandalorian too. You know, the big Mandalorian that he had the fight with at the beginning, and then he ended up helping him at the towards the end in the first season. So there's all the other Mandalorians, right, that were underground.
Oh,
there
yeah.
was that one that was like really big, kind of a big guy.
Yeah.
That was John Favreau.
I didn't know that. No, that's cool. Yeah, he's kind of growing on me. When I first saw him in a movie, I think the first movie that I recognized him or I realized who he was the Iron Man movie. And I was
Rudy
like, who? Rudy?
Rudy.
Oh, he was. I didn't even know he was in that.
He was
Love
Rudy's
that
friend.
movie. I love
the one
that
that
movie.
comes back at the end with the girl. Yeah, he was in Rudy originally.
See, I always go back to Very Bad Things. That's where I always remember. That was the first time I had seen him in a movie.
Isn't that a horror movie?
No, it's like a black comedy. Basically, a bunch of guys go on a bachelor party weekend to Vegas or somewhere else. Some are similar. It might even be like Atlantic City.
Yeah.
And then one of them gets with a stripper and accidentally kills her in the bathroom.
Oh.
Like he's having sex with her and he actually slams her back up against the towel rack and stabs her. And then it's about them hiding the body and then them dealing with the consequences that they all know that their friend killed a stripper around the guy's wedding.
Oh, jeez.
It's.
Did they just do a remake of that with all girls recently?
I don't know if they did. They probably did. They
did.
remake everything with all women nowadays. And not like that's a bad thing, but sometimes it just is.
Sometimes it is.
Yeah. Okay. So I can see John Favreau playing you in a movie,
Yeah.
Pat. That'll work.
I'll take it.
There you go. All right. So the last one I'm going to ask you before we get into the game is if a crystal ball could tell you the truth about yourself, your life, the future, or anything else, what would you want to know?
How many times can I use it?
You only can use it once.
Oh.
You get one choice.
See, if I could use it more than once, I'd use it to predict the stock market every day. Then I wouldn't have to worry about anything.
So what were the choices again?
It's if you could tell the truth about yourself, your life, the future, or anything else. The anything else part makes it like so wide open.
Yeah, see, I would the easy one is, what are aliens and why are they here? That would be the easy one. But I don't really want to go with that because that removes all the mystery of the search for the truth in that area. But I think if anything, if I knew now what I knew in high school, and made different choices, how would my life look? You know, what would my life be like if I had made a different choice in high school because of what I know now?
So it's almost an It's a Wonderful Life situation.
Yeah.
You're just not
exactly. Right.
dead.
Right. Yeah.
And you have to deal with that asshole Clarence.
Yeah, that's a good movie. That is a great movie. In fact, I watched that this past holiday season.
It's just one of those movies I can't get into for some reason.
Oh man, it's just so heartwarming, you know.
Maybe that's it. I just have a really cold heart.
Well,
it's all the horror movies. That's the problem.
Yeah, but then, you know, if I knew what my alternate life would be like and it was better than my life is now, I'd probably be all bummed out. I want a do-over, man. So yeah, alien. I probably just want to know what is alien. What are aliens and why are they here?
You know, you could also run to the situation where you think that, you know, you make those changes and everything's going to be different, but maybe you make those changes and everything just ends up being the same.
Oh yeah,
you know,
that's true.
Because it's not to get philosophical on anybody, but you know, fate could be a real thing, and you know, they say that you can't escape it. So you're going to end up in the same position that you would have been anyway. It just might be longer than it is now.
Shit, my face sucks. Karma's a bitch.
So okay, here, I have a question for you guys. If you guys are not that old. What are you guys in your 30s?
Well, he is
mid-30s,
and I'm 40.
Oh, you're 40. Okay, so yeah, you guys are still. But if there's something you could do that you've never had an opportunity to do because of one reason or another, you know, you're physically incapable of doing it, or you don't have the finances to do it, or you're simply just terrified of doing it, but it's something that you always secretly wanted to do, what would that be?
I'll pack up first.
I would probably say be able to play in the NFL.
Oh, okay. Good one.
If it wasn't the NFL, it'd be like a pro wrestler kind of thing, because both of those growing up were two of my passions, pro wrestling and the NFL. And you know, I always get mad because my brother's 6'4". He got all the height and he hates sports. Yeah, I'm 5'11". You know, maybe depending on who's doing the measuring, maybe 6 foot, and love sports. And one of my regrets is not going and paying for college. I don't think I could have ever made it to the NFL. Hell, I could maybe, I don't even know if I would be a starter for our community college. But the fact that I never did it, main reason why was I was like, I don't want to go to school if I don't know what I want to take. So I just went straight into working. But I do regret maybe not going, at least trying out for the team and seeing what happened.
Yeah, you could.
The Rudy story, man.
That's right. You have been out there and Solus, we need a tight end. Get in there.
Third string tight end, man. I'm telling you. I was a starter. I was a starting lineman, and by the time I hit junior year, I ended up moving over to being a center. And but like every time we did like the second team was out there, and you know, we were doing like scout team for the defense, they would put me at tight end. And so I burnt one of our fastest guys one time. I don't know how the hell I did it, but it was just like, got it on
That's
out.
awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
The first time he was like, okay, he was like, I wasn't thinking you were going to be playing hard. We'll see what happens now. And so we had one of our coaches, his name was Coach Warhurst. He always called the linemen his fat. We were the Hayward High Farmers, so we were his fat farmers. And so he's like, "Oh, Harrison, you let one of my fat farmers burn you out. I can't believe. Run that same." And that's how he talked. Run that same play again. Oh, I can't believe one of my fat farmers. We run the same play, same thing. I turned, caught the ball, and did like a little juke move and just ran off. And Mike, well, coach, he came up to me. He's like, "Oh, Solus, you're a starting lineman, but if we ever need the third string tight end, you're it."
Nice. Good story, man. What about you, Brian?
Well, it would be within the same realm. It would be one of three things. Like I'd love to, you know, be a big, you know, maybe it's cheesy to say, but like a big rock star, like play a stadium. I don't have to be the main act. I don't have to be anybody. I just want to be on that stage, see the crowd of people out there, do whatever, play 2 songs and play the most popular. I always tell Pat this whenever there's like somebody that I got like one song or whatever it is, like, you know, here comes Elvis. Oh, play Blue Suede Shoes to get the fuck off the stage. You know, that's what I would do. I would just play the one song just so I could get that experience. Like, I've been lucky enough to one time be backstage at a big venue and actually see that angle from the crowd. An old high school friend of mine, he knows the guys from Five Finger Death Punch, and he invited me to go meet them and actually at their show. And that was a surreal experience. So, but to actually play, to go out there and sing or do something, you know, even if it was something dumb, just to introduce a band, I don't care. I just like to do that on a really big stage. Or I'd like to own my own venue like that. I love live music. It sucks with the pandemic doing what it's doing because we haven't been able to see any shows, whether it's been my friends that do local stuff or it's the big shows. You know, we had a big festival tour that we were supposed to go to in October. That was like 3 days of nonstop music, you know, Metallica headlining one of the days, actually 2 of the days. And it just going to that. And then, you know, being with the group of people that we go with to that show, it's just like a release to be at something that big. So to have a venue where I could say, okay, if you're a big act, you want to come through, you can do it. Or I'd also like to say small act, like, hey, you guys come through and use my big thing. I don't care if you just sell out, you know, if I had the unlimited funds or whatever to do that, anybody can play at my show. It could be the space that people do. So if you want to feel like the big star, you can come in. Or I would have done radio. Like, radio would have been fun. I knew a lot of people that, you know, were doing that in college, and I was invited to go in, but I was just, at that point, I felt like I was too shy to do anything like that. I think people like, you know, like Pat and some of my other friends have made me a lot more comfortable in my own skin. And even podcasting has done that because, you know, again, it's one of those things, you throw it out there. That damn thing from Chris Hardwick is never going to leave my fucking mind. But that's the way it is. I just, like, now I think I could go for it, but now I'm not the age where I can just jump into something like that. But that would have been fun. I know it unless you're one of the big guys, you know, that has the morning radio show or has the big name or whatever, you're not going to make a whole lot. You're going to work shitty hours, but just being around that, being around music and being around, you know, talking to the people, what they like, what they don't like, experiencing new things right away. But I also know the industry of radio is not also the nicest industry in the world too, just from, you know, people that we've listened to over the years. You know, we talk a lot about the Woody show that we listen to, and that guy's been fucked over I don't know how many times. And it's fun. It's been fun to follow him around because he's not shy about talking about it, and he's finally in a place where he is the guy. You know, his show is the show for like LA. And it's crazy to see how long and how much he had to go through to get to that, just over politics of being in radio. So, but those are things I'd love to do. You know,
I would love if you had your own venue, because then I could meet a bunch of bands.
That's right. So that way Pat can work the snack bar.
Yeah, you know what? Believe it or not, guys, you both have venues.
Yeah.
This podcast, it's a platform, man, and it opens the door for you to talk to people. And right, talking to people opens other doors.
Yeah, well, Pat, I wasn't going to say right away, but next week Muse is going to be on the podcast.
Right on. See, think big, man. Think big. That kind of brings it full circle to what you guys asked me earlier, what I wanted to be when I was, you know, growing up. And I would still, I think if you asked me the question I just asked you, I think my answer to that would be go to space. I would love to go into outer space, man.
I think that would be I don't know if I have such an anxiety when it comes to flying. I could imagine like being blasted off in a rocket ship that my anxiety would be at like a 15 or 16. But I just think that the experience of seeing everything, seeing it from there would just be like, even watching that one guy do the zero gravity jump in the Red Bull, like when they put the camera just on top of him, just to even see that little bit. Man, it would just be the one crowning thing. You would say that, you know, when you're a kid, you could say, well, I can die happy if this one little thing happens. But if I actually saw that, then that would be that moment. Be like, yeah, okay, life was worth living for this one moment.
Get up to space, see how flat the Earth is.
That's right. Then we're gonna see the donut hole, and we're gonna see. Oh, we're
Don't
gonna
even get me started on that.
We're gonna see the Pac-Man entrance from the one side of Earth. It's gonna go in there. Did you see that plane? It went through the dot and it came out the other side.
Oh man, I'm not even gonna comment on that.
Telling you, one of my favorite movies is Beyond. What's the Curve or whatever? Beyond the Curve on Netflix. I think that's the name it is. Where the guy is trying to prove the Earth is flat, and he says, if they buy these expensive ass cameras and set them up, and like, oh, if the Earth is flat, it's gonna, you'll see it straight across, and if the Earth has a curvature, then it's gonna be offset. And they spent all this money to prove that it's going to be straight, and then it's offset, and that's like the end of the movie.
Yeah. One of the funniest things I saw was a person that was supposedly a flat Earth believer or whatever. I can't remember the exact quote, but it was something like, the globe is flat, and that's the last thing I'm going to talk about, or something like that, A globe is round, man. A globe is a globe.
Yeah.
He used the term globe in his own argument. It's just like the logic doesn't add up. Their logic is that people that claim the Earth is round are required to prove that the Earth is round. It's like,
that makes no
proven,
sense,
man.
Yeah.
It's been proven.
But they're not required to prove that the Earth is flat. Like,
it's called math, man. Use math. Math proves it. Yeah.
All right. Well, are you guys ready to play a game?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Look, I even made some little intro music for the game. It's the Sci-Fi Movie Quiz.
Hey.
Oh, he's going all out.
Nice.
Yeah. Found some royalty-free music. It specifically said on it, it says, will not get you banned from YouTube. And then watch, there's going to be a copyright strike on it or some shit because I'm using whatever it is, and I'm going to quote whatever.
Ben's going to find it for all that shit we were talking about.
Ben's going to buy the company that made it, put it on CD, baby. And that was, I remember one of the things I saw some guy do. He was like, if you want to get past YouTube's monetization thing, he's like, if you make your own like little music and it's like, say like a minute long, and you upload it to something like CD Baby, and now you have like the rights to the music because you own it in that spot, and you use it at the end of it, you can make a copyright claim on your own video that video is using it, and then it gets into the system, and there you go. Now you're making money off of other people making copyright claims on your own video because you have the song that you own. It was just like, I'm like, okay, it's a long way to go around this.
Sounds complicated.
Like, I'm just not going to make anything. All right. So we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Should have counted these. 9, 10, 11, 12 questions. 12 total questions.
Let's do it.
And they're multiple choice. And like I said, we could do it one of two ways, and then it's up to you guys how you want to do it. I could go through all the questions, and you guys, if you have something to write it down or type it down into, you could write down your answers. Like I said, it'd be multiple choice, and then we can go back through it, or we can do it as we'll get the questions, and first one to buzz in gives me the answer, and then the other person can steal. So it's kind of up to you which one you feel is better. If you want to just go through.
I just need to grab a pen.
We can do one at a time.
Do one at a time?
Yeah, just do one at a time.
All right, let's just do one at a time. You guys buzz in.
All right.
And then whoever gets the most at the end of it wins the game. I do not have a tiebreaker, but I'm sure that I could probably find one real fast in case we do need to have
I'm sure I'm going to lose, so don't worry about it.
I'm not sure you're going to lose, man. You might squeak out a win, a big W.
It's not as bad as it seems. I will get my pen and paper ready so that I can keep score for everything here. Let's see.
Just because I like sci-fi doesn't mean I know everything there is to know, man.
Well, I'm pretty sure that, based upon, a lot of these questions, it's not like terribly hard sci-fi. I think you guys should be able to go through. All right, so this is first question. Question number one. I should have had like sounds for like question number one, but no, I wasn't that involved in it. I just made the other thing. All right, so who directed the movie based on Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Is it George Lucas, M. Night Shyamalan, Steven Spielberg, or Ridley Scott?
D.
Oh, Andrew, you say Ridley Scott?
Yeah.
And it is Ridley Scott.
I was about
And what's the movie?
hesitating.
What's the movie Blade Runner?
There you go.
One of my favorite movies.
That's why I said it. Oh, Patrick's already at a disadvantage because this is all Blade Runner trivia.
Oh, wow.
All right, so
Harrison Ford.
question 2. Which of these binge-worthy science fiction television shows was the first streaming show to win an Emmy for Best Drama? Was it Lost in Space, Black Mirror, Outlander, Westworld, or The Handmaid's Tale?
Westworld.
No.
I'm going to say Black Mirror.
No, neither guys got it right. It was The Handmaid's Tale. That was the first one of a dystopian
That's not even
future.
sci-fi, man. What is that?
I don't know. It's what the question said.
Yeah,
All right.
I think it is sci-fi, but it's like loosely.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, it's that whole
sci-fi.
dystopian future. A lot of people consider that to be sci-fi.
True.
All right, so which of these popular sci-fi movie franchises has the most films? Is it Star Wars, Doctor Who, Star Trek, or Guardians of the Galaxy?
Doctor Who.
Star Trek.
Star Trek, it is. Pat,
Oh, good job.
just make
Hey,
sure
wait,
that
we're competing. I gave you a high five.
Yeah.
And I took it.
It's all tied up. But yeah, there have been 13 total Star Trek movies beginning in 1979 when Star Trek the Motion Picture through 2016's Star Trek Beyond.
I still need to see the last one of the new ones.
Now, was that
With
the
Chris
one?
Pine.
Yeah, that was the one that was where they flipped the script on things, I believe. I won't say any more because you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
If I think that's
Well, I was
the one.
supposed to see. My uncle is the big Trekkie, and I mean, and my brother too. And I like Star Trek, but I'm more of a Star Wars person. But I still like watching the movies. And I seen all the new ones with my uncle, and so I was like, oh, cool, we're gonna see the new one. I'm like, when do you want to go see it? Or I already went and saw it, and then I just never saw it.
Man,
Yeah, all three of the new ones are good. Real good.
they're definitely entertaining. They're more action-packed than the other ones, but Insurrection will still be my favorite Star Trek movie. All right, so which one of these popular sci-fi movies is not based on a book? Is it Ender's Game, Galaxy Quest, Blade Runner, or Jurassic Park?
Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy
Ender's
Quest.
Game. Oh,
is
is that
the
it's
answer.
Galaxy Quest?
Yes,
Oh,
it
okay.
is.
That's right. Ender's Game is okay.
Yep, that is a book, and that is another movie with Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
And actually, it's okay. You know, like I think it felt a little too long in watching it.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay.
It's entertaining. I will definitely give it that.
Never
but
give up. Never surrender.
All right, so which was the first science fiction film to win the Academy Award for Best Picture? Was it Solaris, Star Wars, or the New Hope, The Shape of Water, or Metropolis?
Shape of Water.
Metropolis.
Shape of Water. 2017's Shape of Water was the first to win. Star Wars was nominated, but it lost to Annie Hall.
Yeah. And then I've never seen Shape of Water because I was supposed to go see it with someone and they screwed me over and went without me.
And see,
Brian?
I thought he was going to make the joke with the Star Trek thing, like I didn't go with him to see the last Star Trek movie because he's blamed this on me for 2 movies for wanting to go see a movie with my wife.
3 movies.
You know what? I don't get. I don't even see why that movie was so good. I couldn't even watch it.
I absolutely
couldn't
love
watch the
that
whole movie. Really?
I love it. I love it. It's a love. Well, okay.
Maybe
My
that's
favorite
why.
Universal
It's too
horror
corny.
movie. Well, my favorite Universal horror movie is Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Okay.
That's connected with my grandfather and everything, and that's a love letter to that movie in particular. So a lot of that was really like that's why I loved it, and I'm such a Guillermo del Toro fan. Like I'm a fanboy. Like
maybe I'll rewatch it. I have it on streaming. I might as well just try to rewatch. I don't know, man. It wasn't.
He's
it
still
wasn't
trying to save
fast
3
enough.
movies down here.
3 movies you screwed me on. Shape of Water, The Disaster Artist, and Midsummers.
Midsommar.
Whatever. Yeah, that one too.
That's a great movie too. All right. So which of these Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, or which Arnold Schwarzenegger movie is based on a story by Philip K. Dick? Total Recall, The Running Man, Kindergarten Cop, or True Lies?
Total Recall.
Yep. Total Recall it is. Philip K. Dick's short story. We can remember it for you. Andrew is taking the lead with 3 points to Patrick's 2. Patrick, you got to get in there.
Too. I just got to say it faster.
All right. So what popular science fiction movie stars Chicago actor John Cusack? Is it Passengers, 2012, Independence Day, or
2012?
2012. Andrew takes it. He's up by 2.
Do I have to wait until you finish saying them all? I don't have to wait, do I?
No, I wasn't sure on that one. I was thinking it was 20. I wasn't sure if it was 2012. Yeah. I was listening to all the options.
All right. Well, I think this one might get Patrick back into it. What do the science fiction movies The Last Starfighter, Tron, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and Ready Player One have in common? Is it that the protagonist travels to the future, that the protagonist is abducted, that the protagonist learns they are not human but alien, or that the protagonist is a gamer?
Gamer.
Oh, Andrew beats it out. Last Starfighter. That's one of my favorite movies of my childhood.
Last Starfighter? I don't think I've seen that movie either.
That's the first movie to use like traditional CGI, what we would call CGI, computer graphic, created models for their fight scenes. All right. So which of these science fiction television shows is based on books? Is it Orphan Black, The Expanse, Westworld, or Firefly?
Firefly.
Eh.
I don't know what it is.
I'm going to say Westworld.
Nope. That was based on that's funny, as it is. It technically is, but I don't think that the series is based on the movie. That's where we get it on this
Okay.
one.
All right.
Right? Yeah. So it's The Expanse. The Expanse is actually based on a series.
Great. Out of those, the Expanse is the best. I love The Expanse, man.
I really liked the first season of Westworld, and then it just kind of went to...
It was cool. It was cool, but The Expanse just blows me away, man. The visual effects in that whole series is amazing.
Does it feel like an old Babylon 5 type of feeling for that series?
Exactly.
Might be worth to check out. All right, so it's still 5-2, Andrew, and we've got a couple questions left. So which time-traveling movie predicted the Chicago Cubs would win the World Series?
Back to the Future.
Okay. Yeah. Back to the Future.
2. I'll give it to him.
Did you say 2? Because I only heard Back to the Future.
The first time I just said Back to the Future, but then when you asked, I said 2.
All right. Yeah. Well, we'll give that one to Pat. Andrew said give it to him.
Yeah.
All right. It's 5-3 right now. It's 2 points behind. All right. So what do the futuristic science fiction movies Snowpiercer, Interstellar, WALL-E, and Mad Max Fury Road have in common? Are the characters attempting to go to Mars? They feature, huh?
None of them talk, right?
No. What do the movies, not the characters, have in common?
Oh, I'm sorry.
So do the characters in the movie attempt to go to Mars? That they feature Earth devastated by climate change? That they were produced by George Lucas? Or that they were nominated for Academy Award for Best Director?
Climate change.
Climate change. It is. And we are down to the last question, so there's no way that Pat can catch up on this. But because
all right, lads, winner takes all, man. We'll do or die right here.
Is he betting winner takes all? Do you take that bet there, Pat?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, which of these science fiction television shows has had the most seasons? Is it The X-Files? Is it Star Trek? Is it Doctor Who or Battlestar Galactica?
Doctor Who.
Oh,
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
That was close.
That was a tie, man.
that was a tie. I think if that's a winner takes all, I think that leaves us at a tie. Do we want a tiebreaker question?
We gotta get a tiebreaker.
Yeah, let's do tiebreaker.
Okay, let me go to the Googles to find a tiebreaker question.
But you still owe me a Coke, Pat. I jinxed you. Did you guys do that when you were growing up?
Yep.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. You owe me a Coke.
Yeah.
Oh no, this has a lot of Transformers questions. I don't think you guys need to have any Transformers.
Optimus Prime. Oh.
There was one
Bumblebee
really
was a
good
great
one.
movie. I think
I haven't
Bumblebee's my
seen that
favorite
one.
Transformer.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet either.
It's awesome. It's retro. They go back to the 80s. It's really cool.
Okay, I already gave that one away. This is a lot of Star Wars trivia.
It's a trap.
Yeah, who said it's a trap?
General Akbar.
Okay, let's see. I have to increase this because the screen's much. All right. So the question is, it's a Star Trek question. Captain James Kirk is the most famous captain of the USS Enterprise in Star Trek, but who had the job before him in the TV series?
Pike.
That's right.
Pike. It's Pike.
Captain Christopher Pike. Andrew wins the challenge. All right, so Pat is 0-3 against guests of the show.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Pat. I didn't mean to do that to you, brother.
But yeah, so that is it.
That's just me pulling the trigger because there's a couple of them I knew what the answer was, but I was like,
I saw that, man. I saw the gears turning, but I just blurted it out.
Yeah, I was like, let me just hear just in case.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. You can't hesitate in that quick draw type of game. Mm-hmm. You just got to blurt it out, and if you're wrong,
that's it.
Yeah,
just take the L if you can take the L, and keep moving on.
That's right.
All right, so we are at the end of our show. Andrew, I want to thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
just talking and kind of getting to know you and you getting to know us. And we hope to do more of these episodes with everybody else on the SIP network. But why don't you tell everybody about what you do, how they can find you, and just whatever you want them to know.
All right. Well, andrewhall.com is the website. On there, I have my podcast, I have my photography, I have my graphic design work. On social media, it's andrewhall.com on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And then the podcast is Dead Hand Radio. It's about Cold War, UFOs, paranormal. Check it out.
It's a little bit of everything for whatever ails you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I get into some mystery, some history, a little bit of true crime. I haven't done too much of the true crime stuff, more of like legends and lore type stuff. But
that's cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that I like to do.
Saying with the mystery, you got any like Scooby-Doo type stuff in there?
Right, oh no, Reiki.
Oh, I think you need to get some more of that.
Damn you,
Scooby.
Awesome.
my horrible Shaggy.
I think my Scooby was worse, man. Your Shaggy was good.
Well, not everybody can be Casey Kasem or Matthew Lillard. Those are the only two that should be Shaggy, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, you get screwed over by Will Arnett, but that's for another story. But yeah, again, we thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thank you guys, man. It's been awesome. It's been a blast. Had a really good time.
So, Patrick, if people want to, follow the podcast on social media, where can they find it? On Twitter?
IBLT Podcast.
And then email?
It'd be like IBLTpodcast@gmail.com. That's why I brought the stuff.
Instagram?
IBLT Podcast.
And they're watching us on YouTube?
It'd be like that podcast.
All right, then you go ahead and make sure that you rate and review, not just us, but everybody on the SIP network. Go out there, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean, wherever you find your podcast.
Blueberry, Facebook, Google
If
Play.
it's got a way to rate it and review it, make sure that you rate it 5 stars. Make sure you rate the other guys out there. It helps everybody be seen. Like it, subscribe, do whatever you're doing. And check out the Slightly Irregular Podcast Network. It's available on sipnet.us, featuring such podcasts as Deadhead Radio, the Angry Dad Podcast, So I Married a Bigfoot, 5 Faith from Fans, the Podcast from Another World, Paranormal Pativity, Back in Time Podcast, Terrible Terror Podcast, of course, It'd Be Like That Podcast, From the Wastes, and World of Horror, which is Andy and Dave. I guess also the It's Christmas All the Time podcast, or whatever Dave's Christmas podcast is. I always forget the name of.
I think you got it. It's Christmas. It's always Christmas.
It's like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but it's always Christmas in Texas.
Yeah, it's always Christmas in Texas.
I think I got everybody from that. So sipnet.us. Patrick, you've got a Twitter if people want to follow you.
Big Solo 64.
You have a YouTube channel.
Solus 64.
That's where you get the Fat Guy Food Reviews.
It's true.
Fat Guy Food Reviews.
Also, if you wanted to see Brian sing, if you go to the concert section, I have a bunch of his Angel for Fears videos.
Yeah,
cool.
That's right.
Cool.
They're all there.
I was just going to say that food review podcast, don't watch that show if you're hungry. Because that food looks good, man. I think every food that you review on there looks tasty.
I did 2 last weekend. I still haven't put any of them up. I haven't had. This week has been crazy. I just haven't had time to edit it. But
I understand, man. I got a pretty big backlog of videos. Podcasts I got to edit and get out there.
Is there anything else you got there, Pat? You got your blog and the other podcasts?
You got the blog, patrickstotts64.blogspot.com. I don't know what's going on with my Nights of the Video Game Table podcast. But you'd find me at the Paranormal Pativity podcast, and you can find the handles at Twitter and Instagram is paranormalpat64, and you can email me your stories or experiences at paranormalpat64@gmail.com. Also, Chafing the Dream podcast I do with Kyle from it.
5 stars.
Like that. From Back in Time podcast, and we've been going over our weight loss journey. We're going to be recording tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly what we're talking about, but I'm sure it's going to deal with our struggles, especially getting out of the holidays. So go check that out. That should be. I can make sure Kyle added that to the SIP network.
Chafing the Pod. That should probably be a part of it as well.
Yeah.
I don't think that's on the website.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also 2 other podcasts that aren't on the website either because Brian hasn't done his job.
Yeah. Just throw them over to me, man. I'll get them on there.
I know. I always have my mind runs like a squirrel and I get caught and I just forget to do everything. So maybe I need to just have Pat at least be like that, get that stuff over to you.
But you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Chafing the Pod. But Brian, you have a Twitter.
Yeah, standard Twitter is it's toolbert with zeros instead of O's. And then, of course, the Terrible Terror podcast where I spend most of my time, T_podcast. That's if you really want to get in touch with me, that's where you go. Don't go to the other one. That's just for me to lurk on people's profiles.
You have a YouTube channel.
Yep, just toolbert, and that's where I have a bunch of concert footage. I have some footage from one of our first or second show for Angels of Fear. You can see that, but I do a lot of different concert things up there when we were actually going to concerts and blogs and little things like that. And then there's also the Terrible Terror YouTube channel where there's a bunch of other little movie reviews and stuff like that over there, which I've got to do one this weekend for Veronica.
We still need to see Batman.
The Batman?
No, Fat Man, that Christmas movie with Mel Gibson.
We
I haven't seen it yet, man.
We have to see Porno too.
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it's a horror movie about kids with the porno tape. And then there's I think next week Psycho Goreman comes out, and I'm looking forward to watching that.
Isn't the reboot for Wrong Turn coming out soon too?
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff coming out in the next couple months.
I'm waiting for Antler.
Oh, I'm still waiting for that. Yeah, I'm waiting for those Antlers to come out at some point. A lot of really great horror movies or seemingly great horror movies that are coming.
You have a band?
Yep, that's Angels of Fear, where we've got stuff out there. You can check it out. Go to Pat's YouTube channel.
Hey, do you have a Bandcamp channel for that?
Because we don't have anything that's professionally recorded. Okay. Everything is live stuff, and I don't want to put the live stuff out. I mean, it's out there; people can watch it, but I'd love to have actual recorded stuff of that stuff. But hopefully, maybe some point in the future, I can either get some stuff and do some of my own recording things and just do something at some point.
You have a band.
Yep, we just went through that.
I mean, you have a podcast. I was looking
at podcast.
Besides,
I went to my things. I was going to send a link to Andrew on Twitter, and so I was looking at your band.
Oh, okay. The other podcast is the Terrible Terror podcast, of course, where I look at terrible horror movies, twice a month, and we're doing not horror this month, but fantasy. So I just did Masters of the Universe. That was the last one. That was a lot of fun, and that was a listener request, which was cool. And it makes me want ribs still. And then
Saturday.
Yep, the next one is going to be Willow, because it's available on Disney Plus. I haven't seen it in a long time. I really like that movie. Pat guessed it right last week. I just kind of didn't acknowledge that because I didn't want to give it away right then and there.
I haven't seen Willow in so long.
I know. That was the reason I want to watch it.
Well, plus I should watch it just for the hell of it also, because aren't they supposed to be having a sequel to that coming out?
They're supposed to do a series of it. I think Warwick Davis is coming back to be Willow for the series. So, you know.
Should fight the leprechaun in that.
And Jennifer Aniston should come over and, have to fight the leprechaun too. Make it a trifecta. But then also don't forget to check out I'm trying to do every week, every other week, but we do a watch party over on Twitch. Have a lot of fun with that. Andrew joins a lot, as Pat as well. We watch basically kind of a bad horror movie or just something together. Make fun of it, talk crap, and it's just a lot of fun. Come watch me do whatever, and that's twitch.tv/Terrible Terror Podcast. And we also did last week, we played Drawful for a little while, which was a lot of fun.
That was fun. That's the first time I played that.
I think we're going to do that again next time. We're going to do something similar like that where we pick games, because all of a sudden my wife is like, I want to play.
I still got to say, though, I'm so surprised about that Resident Evil Kids.
I know.
Oh, yeah. That was a good one.
That was good for kids that were done in 97 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
98.
I'm still saying you got to try to reach out and see if you can get them on the podcast.
Yeah, just get them on and say, hey, I want to talk about your little childhood Resident Evil movie and find out why the hell that house was so goddamn dirty all the time.
It looked like it was ready to get destroyed, man.
And how fun was it shooting Grandpa in the back of the head? So, I lost my shit.
You can come back and come on and hang out on the Twitch channel. Usually either Tuesday or Thursdays we'll be out there. And I'm also trying to still do playthroughs of Dead Space for the heck of it. I missed last weekend, but that was just because I got so busy preparing for a non-functioning CES this week. So, but yeah, that's it. Is there anything else that you guys have before we sign off?
Nope. Once again, thank you for coming on, and
yeah,
enjoyed all the questions and answers and everything, all of it.
I appreciate you guys having me on, man. It was a blast. I'd like to do it again. Have you guys on my show one of these days.
Oh, most definitely. We'll have to plan all that out. But again, I thank you so much for spending your time, and spending a couple hours with us, talking just, everything. So really appreciate it.
It's good to finally spend some time and, get to know you guys a little better.
Yeah. That's the other reason why we wanted to do this kind of like series with all the SIPNet people. It's because, we're in this network, but how well do we actually know each other?
Yeah.
This is a great way to do it.
Yep.
So, all right. So as always, peace, bitches.